Okay, so welcome everyone. Today we'll talk about epigenetics, which is the session number 4 in our quantum physics series to understand how our body functions, how this whole mechanism where meditation, pranayam, and yoga fits. And if we can understand the connection, if we can understand how it works, it helps us in either how means how to do, why to do, and all the benefits included. Epigenetics is interesting because not just because it's a complicated subject, but it generates fears mostly. Like people say, oh, it's in my genes, what can I do? People feel that this is in my family, my grandfather had, father had, so I will also have. Is it true? Is it so? That is always the question. On one side, science says one thing, but on the other side, certain experiments and certain facts that now that we know tells us a different story. So first the question comes, what it is and how it really impacts us. So we'll recap of what we have seen so far so that we can connect to this topic. And in case if we have missed any of the session before. So first we changed about, our personal reality. This one is created based on your personality. That means based on your personality, whether you get angry very soon, you get agitated, or whether you're a very calm person, whatever the personality is, it creates the reality around you. It draws events in your life. And your personality is based on how you think, how you act, how you feel. Because the way you think is the way you act. And the way you act is the way you feel. If you're a calm person, you will leave in time, not depending on the traffic or weather kind of situation. And the way you act, you will be driving comfortably, calm, even if you are in the traffic. Whereas the other way around, you leave late and now you are driving like crazy and you feel anxiety, you feel stressed out. So that feeling is coming from your action, which is coming from your thought. Now, if we can disconnect from your current life, means you want to change something, then you have to change your thoughts. So you have to create new personality for a new future. That means you have to change your thinking pattern. Because if you have the same thought, then based on the same thought, you make the same choices, same action, same behavior. So your experience will be same. Like in the previous case, you will find, yourself always stressed, always anxiety and all that. But if you change your thought, you change your action, then your feeling and everything will change. Means if you leave 10 minutes early rather than always running behind, all of us are on same traffic, but because you left ahead of time, now you are calm, you're handling the traffic better, you reach wherever you are going in time, so you are not having, anxiety attack, those kind of things. So thoughts, till the time you have the same thought, you will have the same outcome. That means your reality, which is your personal reality, is same because your personality is same. To change, there are 3 critical factors. Sometimes we feel change is not easy. It's like, jumping in through the river. That also in the peak rainy season, it's highly unlikely that you will be able to reach the other side. But fortunately, we don't have to do that. All you have to do is equivalent of finding a bridge to cover that or change that situation or go to the other side. To do that, we need 3 things: the body, the environment, and the time. These 3 you have to overcome. So till the time You keep thinking the same way and result is same. But if we start changing the way we think, if we can tell our body that you are not the boss, I am, that means your body is not driving you. Suppose someone wants to change the habit and wants to wake up early. The body will say, forget it. Let's continue another 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, or let's sleep for some more time, because your body is pulling you away from your decision of getting up early. Because body is addicted. Body is used to that particular thing, whatever you're trying to change. So body will drive you towards continuing the same, whatever your habit is. And that is where we have to be stronger. That means you have to be firm and you have to say, no, this is my decision and I stick to it. Or if I have to get up, then I have to get up. The moment you do a couple of times, then it becomes easy, because now the body has understood that, okay, he's the master, not me. I give up. And then the body starts following the new, whatever the situation is. Second is the environment. We keep blaming, oh, it's not me, it's people around me, it's the weather, it's the traffic, and all those kind of things. There is always a way to overcome that situation, and that's all we have to do. The moment we overcome the environment factor, all of a sudden everything starts happening. You will find new personality, and that will change things around you. That means the reality, your personal reality will change. Now we don't use our environment as an excuse. As we said, if traffic is in a situation, leave 10 minutes early. Weather is a situation, leave appropriately. Don't leave late and then blame the traffic or blame the weather or blame that, okay, my colleagues or my neighbor or family members. And then comes the time. Time is a very big factor, but we as a human, we tend to remember the bad things for a very long time. Something that is of, hurt, trauma, any of those things we tend to remember for years, for decades, that this person said this to me or this person did this to me. So what happens then? We stay in that negative emotion or anger for years. You can stay in that kind of negativity as long as you wish. But one thing one has to remember, nothing will happen to the other person. Doesn't matter what the person did to you or said to you. There will be no impact to the other person. You can stay in that anger or negative or full upset mode, but it will only hurt you. It will hurt your health. So we have to learn how to.
Your voice is breaking up.
My voice, Sabir? So if we don't follow forgiveness, that means we will stay in that mode for a long time, and that will hurt us, our health. So forgiveness, overcoming the time factor is very critical. When we say meditation, meditation is one thing which can really bring peace, calmness to you. Meditation is one thing which can change your habit, whatever new that you want to be. This is the time when we go past our analytical mind and we go to subconscious mind, because there are only two ways to get into subconscious mind: in meditation or during sleep. But during sleep, you have no control because you are sleeping. In meditation, you still are in control and you are in subconscious mind. And that is where you can change your habits. You can start breaking up the old habits and bringing the new one. So it's important that when you are imagining or when you are going for meditation, imagine that You are in the outer space. There is nothing known. Because wherever you are doing meditation, you know what's around, the brain goes there. Oh, the TV, my laptop, my work. This way, if you're imagining yourself in outer space, at least it helps you to convince yourself that, okay, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. Why it is important? Because these are the two factors which draws most of your thoughts. It's either the body bringing it or your mind. And that's why we have to sit in comfortable position. So the body doesn't ache and the mind doesn't complain. Now, stress, as we talked in the previous session, this is one thing where most of us in our day-to-day life, we do experience this. And there are three types of stress. It could be physical, it could be chemical, it could be emotional. Some event like accidents or trauma, it can cause physical stress. Duration could be any depending on the event. You may have, under chemicals, sometimes you have viral or flu, whether it's sugar issue, blood pressure issue, all those things can end up as a chemical factor. Or emotional means it could be, just your neighbors, your colleagues, traffic, all those things are emotional stress. Whenever we are under stress, the body releases adrenaline or cortisol. These are our two stress hormones. Now, for a short term, it helps us because that's the body mechanism of overcoming or managing stress. However, when you are under stress, the body takes the energy away from your immune system, your digestive system, because body says, hey, it's fight or flight system. That means you have to fight or you have to run away from that danger, whatever the factor for stress. So if some areas need extra energy, someone has to give up. So who's the sufferer here? Your immune system and digestive. So imagine if we are always in stress most of the time, most of the days in the year, then our immune system is weak, digestive system is weak, which we know the importance. We really need a good immune and digestive system. So when that is weak, our health deteriorates. It's been shown by meditation that how when we do meditation, just 10 minutes, it starts improving your IgA level, which is, you can say your immune system is improving, and the cortisol, which is a reflection of your stress level, start decreasing. So if you do consistently, even 10 minutes meditation every day, you will gain in terms of your immune system in the body and stress going down, which is again improving your health. We have different level of brain waves, but important thing is to go from conscious to subconscious mind. There is a barrier. In our day-to-day life, we live in beta waves. And beta waves means, body is analytical, body knows the logic, what we have learned so far through in the life. But the moment we drop in alpha phase, this is the first stage of being in subconscious mind. The more deeper we go from alpha to theta to delta, the more powerful it becomes, more blissful it becomes. And if you can get into gamma, that's really deep state of meditation or into subconscious mind. So now comes epigenetics, why we are talking about it and what it is. So epigenetics, there is a like a lot of research being done, a lot of great masters, but Bruce Lipton is one famous master who did his work between, say, you can say late 80s to 1990, and not only his PhD and main contributor, that where he could show as a researcher that the environment is more critical. It is the environment which is causing whatever is happening in terms of genetics, what we call. So the real boost came, in early 2000. And the reason it is because there was a big research going on, but we will see that one research really opened the eyes in the scientific community and the interest in this field increased. But before that research, though it was unacceptable to the scientific society at that time, like 1990s, but when Dr. Lipton, he came out with this, that it is the environment which is causing all this genetical thing. It was a breakthrough in the whole field of epigenetics, because epigenetic itself is not if we even say 1990s, it was not something new. It started in 1940s. The term was not new. However, this discovery made it more interesting topic for so many researchers. And one of that great example came from Duke University when Dr. Randy, he did, and this particular image where you see two mouse, and these mice basically, one is a big normal brown and one is like the yellowish one and the brown one. So yellowish one is kind of obese and the brown one is not a regular one. And the research was that, this particular category of agouti mice, they have agouti genes. That means any mouse with that genes will be obese, shorter lifespan, and yellow color fur. So they had very distinctive appearance. So one could see, yes, this mouse has this gene. So during this research, Dr. Randy, on a particular time of this pregnancy cycle, he gave the agouti mice that a dose of methyl. Methyl means all through vegetable, kale, simple. Through kale, this was given so that this methyl will go and then get into your system, and particular reaction or particular combination that they were expecting. Or just by eating green kale, right? It's like green veggie. That mother produced babies that were very normal. What you see on the right side, the normal brown mice, which is having a usual lifespan, usual activity, no obesity. So this was very groundbreaking, that how come the genes were not transferred. And this is again proving the point that it is the environment. And in this case, the environment came from that green stuff, which is kale. So what you eat, that is your diet, your thoughts, your lifestyle is a big part of the environmental factor, which influences your genes. So when we say, it's in our family, well, if everybody was in a particular thought process, your lifestyle was same, then yes, your grandfather, your father, and you may have the similar situation. But if you want to break that pattern or habit or situation, then all you have to do is change the environment. So without changing the structure of DNA itself, you can change how DNAs are expressed. Structure means without getting too much into science, the DNA itself is like there's a whole pack is same, but out of this whole structure, which one is active, the subcomponent, and which one is not, that makes the difference, and that differs each person with others. So if we can understand that what is causing, then we can do the preventive thing. If we know the root cause for anything, then we can work towards preventing that particular thing. So we talk a lot about genes, but what is our DNA? First of all, if we think about the smallest unit, it is the cell. And within a cell, still you have some small particle, like a cell you cannot see with naked eyes, you have to see a microscope, but even that, within that very small unit, you have nucleus, and in the nucleus, again, you have 23 pair of chromosomes. So now you can imagine how much minutely we are getting into this thing. And each pair of chromosome is made up of tightly packed DNA. So imagine it's a long string, but it is tightly packed. And this is where the genetics come, or genes comes. And then we say, okay, it goes from family to family, means from parents to sibling. And then the information continues within a family. That's what genes do. They are carry forwarding that information. But what is these genes or chromosome? Basically, this is just made up of proteins. So how we are processing that can create variation. Now, research has shown that your power of mind, how you can change the gene expression. Because expression of this protein that we are talking about is the expression of life, because your genes are governing your body, your systems. So in our body, which is mostly protein, and based on that, we are getting our characteristic, our personality, in a way, like from genetic side. Because what happens, genes is like, imagine a recipe book. You have thousands of recipes in the book, but you want to make one particular recipe, say recipe number 99. Then you go to that page and you make that particular recipe, and that is your meal. So similarly, in this, our DNA, you have lots of variation possible, but the protein that particular DNA is making is one particular one. So that is what you have, all the possibilities, but the body is producing one particular one at a time, or in that particular part of the body. Now, why is it that? Because you see, your cell, we said it's the smallest unit, but the cell in the skin is different, cell in the eye is different, cell in the muscle is different, in the bone is different. And what is the difference? The type of protein. And that is why genes is like recipe book, has thousands of variations. Depending on whether the cell needs to be a muscle cell or a neuron brain cell, a different protein will be produced. Truly, just 1% or so, maximum you say 2%, people really have genetic issues that you can't help it. That means 98, 99% of the issues, what we call genetics, are basically just based on your lifestyle, your behavior, your choices. That means they can be influenced. That means they can be improved or changed. So again, simply what happens, so epigenetics is the study that how these genes are functioning, how environment is impacting your genes. So it's not that, oh, I have this gene, I'm doomed, I will have this particular situation. No. You can change by the thoughts, by your lifestyle, by changing the environment. So different thing impacts your genes. So the moment, we say we change our environment, and changing environment means if you have to change or work on your thought, then yeah, that's where the yoga, meditation, pranayam, those things comes, because it helps you in changing your thought process, which is time taking, which is difficult, but it can be easily done. And when we do different protein, like you say, it's like an on-off switch, what you see in the diagram. You have possibilities of different outcome, but depending on which switch is on or which switch is off, you will get, like, imagine if you go in your house, generally, like, you have 4 switches right next to each other. Depending which one you turn on, that light will come off. Others light will stay off. You can turn all of them on. Yes, all of them will come on. And that's exactly what happens in our genes. Depending on what is required, and the body is intelligent enough that, okay, I need a cell for my bone. So that particular switch will turn on. You need something for your eye, that switch will turn on. And that is how the body produces the variation of thousands of different proteins. And this selection or this process of producing genes sometimes gets impacted because of various reasons. We say mutation. And that can be influenced, that can be fixed again. And we will see some examples. But again, without getting too much into vegetarianism, one thing is very clear, that plant-based diet really gives you a balanced diet. And it does help in this whole process of what we are talking about. Epigenetics means the environment, the way the body is functioning. And what we talked about, mutation, means the process of producing particular protein in the body. If that process gets impacted, body end up producing wrong or some mistakes, some defects kind of in that protein, that impacts your health, that impacts your genes. So those kind of situations can be minimized, and that's why vegetarianism is very important. So now we were talking about, it's possible. So let's see some examples. One of them where 32 people were involved, and they were tested, and roughly like 7,500, so more than 7,000 different gene expressions were observed. And, when they trade certain emotions with elevated emotions. So for example, if someone is just talking about everything negative or, something that how things will not happen. So you're just changing the way you think, the emotions, and you are going into elevated emotions, like you're talking in terms of gratitude, you're talking in terms of self-love, true love, high self-esteem. All those positive, strong, elevated emotions is basically changing the inner state of your body. And that's what happens when we do meditation. You are improving your brain and heart coherence. You are changing the state. So within 4 days, they could see that many genes were activated or upregulated, means something that was off, which should have been on, now it turned on. Or it was on before, but now it is better. That means the process is more what should be. If it was deviated, now it is coming back to what it should be. And many things related where they saw this change, like anti-aging, healing, even healing autoimmune diseases. The cell repair, including even the stem cell, metabolism, suppression of tumor, so many things they could prove that yes, the meditation does impact here. So you can imagine if we can change ourselves just by meditation alone. And that's why we say you can become new, you can become anyone. We should not think that, oh my God, what can I do? It's my genes. In 2017 in California, they did studies for 60 days and they told meditators that, okay, come and do some kind of meditation and control your inner state. That means what's going on in your mind, your thought process. And at the end, they found that what we call at the end of chromosome, it's called telomeres. This is basically your lifespan reflection, because every time the cell divides, this telomere gets divided into half. And then once it becomes so small, that is the end of our life. So they saw that 74% of participants increased telomere. Increase means that you're increasing your lifespan. Before that, they never thought it is possible. One woman in 2 years, she was able to fix the genetic disorder by changing the thoughts alone. Means bringing the elevated emotion, forgiveness, gratitude, all those positive things. And she improved her own feeling towards herself, means love for herself, love for life. University of Toronto, they researched that, okay, people say, oh, it's a workplace. Something happened because, whether chemicals or different thing in this workplace. But why only certain people impacted? Because there are many people working in that workplace. Why only some get that particular disease or situation, but not others? So they could see that, again, that's where our thoughts, our epigenetics impacted by the environment comes. So it is possible that there were some other mutations, because it is all interaction between different things, that certain conditions impact certain people and not the other. And this is where key thing comes, that how individually we are so unique. So masters, we don't have to, fearful of this topic of genetics. Oh my God, what can I do? It is the environment that is creating the disease or health situation or whatever. And fortunately, it is in our hand how we react to the environment that influence our emotional state. That emotional state is key in sending signal to these, the string of DNA to produce that particular protein. And you can improve it, upregulate or downregulate. Because if you're always under stress, always thinking negative, you can downregulate. Means anything which is good, you can make it bad. So if the signal is proper, genes get upregulated and they can create healthy proteins. So you are your own genetic engineer. That means you can reverse serious issues, anything. And by meditation, they have already seen that roughly 2,200 genes were able to be influenced, means improved, out of total roughly 23,000 genes that we have. So that's about 10%. It does not mean you can do only this much. This is what they have proven scientifically. So research ongoing, and this number is going up and up and up. You can improve your lifespan, telomeres we were talking about, because that means you will stay healthy and you will live longer. So it is the inner environment, it is your thought process which impacts much more than anything else. So we should not be fearful for that. We are helpless. What can we do? But if we understand this, then it is so easy to work, improve our life, lifespan, lifestyle, and of course, our health. So thank you, masters.